New York City was glowing with the golden light of Manhattan in the evening. The Grand Meridian Hotel stood like a jewel in the night, its chandeliers glittering, its halls filled with the scent of roses and the hum of expensive laughter. Inside, dozens of distinguished guests gathered for one of the most anticipated weddings of the year, the wedding of Richard Caldwell, a powerful businessman known as much for his wealth as for his arrogance. His bride was Lily Parker, a young model who had conquered magazine covers and social headlines. The guests sipped champagne and whispered about the couple, about their luxury, their influence, and the spectacle they had prepared. But behind all the glitter and gold, there was another plan. This wedding wasn't just about love. For Richard, it was about revenge. 2 years earlier, he had loved a woman named Emily Brown. She had believed in him, trusted him, carried his children. But the day he learned she was pregnant with triplets, his ambition won over his heart. He abandoned her. No goodbye, no support, no mercy. Emily was left with nothing but 3 tiny lives depending on her. Homeless and heartbroken, she worked nights as a cleaner in office buildings, pushing a mop through polished hallways while her children slept in a small rented room. She knew tears wouldn't feed her children, so she replaced her pain with determination. She looked her past in the eye and vowed she would rise again. For them. When Richard sent her an invitation to his wedding, he expected to see a woman broken by life, someone small, fragile, humiliated. He wanted her to watch him stand in the light while she remained in the shadows. But fate had a different plan. That evening, as the orchestra played and guests raised their glasses, the massive doors of the ballroom opened. Every head turned. Conversations stopped. Emily Brown walked in. She wasn't the broken woman Richard remembered. She wore a long emerald dress that shimmered under the lights, her hair elegantly swept back, her chin lifted high. She looked like strength itself. At her side walked Nicholas Gray, an influential investor with sharp eyes, a calm voice, and a mysterious reputation for never losing. Behind them walked 3 small children, Emily's triplets, dressed neatly, walking proudly. They were no longer a symbol of her weakness. They were her greatest victory. Richard froze. The smug smile he had practiced for weeks faltered. He tried to recover, but whispers filled the hall. Lily, his bride, turned pale. And then Nicholas calmly approached the front table where journalists and guests sat. He opened a leather folder and began to lay out documents, one by one, contracts, transactions, and bank transfers. Every sheet revealed the truth: shell companies, money laundering, secret accounts. It was the empire Richard had built not with brilliance but with lies. The room erupted. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward, hungry for the story. Lily looked at Richard with wide, furious eyes. In front of everyone, she took off the wedding ring and placed it on the table. Then, without a word, she turned and walked away. Richard tried to shout, to deny, to salvage what was left. But the truth had already spread like fire. And just minutes later the doors opened once more. This time not for Emily, for the police. The guests stepped aside as Richard Caldwell was handcuffed and led away. Applause broke out, not for his downfall, but for justice. Emily stood still, feeling something she hadn't felt in years: freedom. The weight of humiliation she carried for so long was gone. She was no longer the woman he had left behind. She was the woman who rose again. Nicholas knelt beside her children and whispered softly, "I'll never leave you." Then, turning to Emily, he slowly got down on one knee in front of everyone still gathered in the hall. The crowd held its breath. Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she realized the day that was supposed to break her had become the day she reclaimed her life. Richard's wedding was meant to be a show of power. Instead, it became the beginning of Emily Brown's rebirth.